Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us on the Thursday Night Hockey Show. I'm Dave Valente, joined as always. How you doing, Travis?
Doing good, Dave. How are you?
The dog father.
The dog
What's up, man?
father. My little puppy. My God, I haven't slept in close to a month. Um, he wants to eat rocks, bottle caps, cigarette butts. He barks a lot. Uh,
It's like having
puppies.
a child, I think.
It is a child. This dog is
Yeah.
smarter than most 3-year-olds, and he's almost 4 months.
Well, there you go. All right.
Yeah, but it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, how are you feeling about the first full week of the hockey season being behind us?
everything's kind of going as planned, except one kind of sort of giant thing. The
Okay.
undefeated Blue Sabres.
What in the hell? That
I didn't
deserves
think in
another.
my lifetime I'd ever want to bet on Buffalo. This is terrible, man. I'd be happy if they'd only lost one game, but this is like wrong. It's just wrong. It doesn't
Well,
work. It doesn't
here's
make sense.
Well, I mean, here's the stunning thing: is I was looking on uh, NHL.com today, and they're in the top. They're in the Super 16.
Yeah. This is the
Like,
first
you
time they've been in
know,
the power rankings in 4 years.
yeah. I mean, so they had they've had the 10-game winning streaks. A couple times over about the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, but nobody took them
Um,
seriously on those winning streaks. The
well,
Sabres work in streaks.
it's the style of play that they played these first 3 games that really has people kind of like, okay, this is a little bit different. Like
Yeah, they played
the
hockey. That's the different part. That's what we haven't seen from the Sabres in years.
yeah, I mean, you can't tell me that going into the season where your top goaltending tandem was going to be Dustin Tokarski and Craig Anderson, that you had any confidence that the Sabres would be doing anything this year. And man, it is, as a Sabres fan, it's fun to watch, but I mean,
You know that
hopefully, as a
you're
Sabres fan,
standing on a cliff and the wind's starting to pick up.
yeah, I mean, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and you're starting to see a couple injuries pop up. Henry Okiharu is out for a few weeks,
Which
which
I
led
hate.
them.
Yoki Haru is actually one of my favorite players in the league.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's going to be out for like 4 to 6, I think. They brought in Christian Wolanin from the LA Kings, who's kind of bounced around the league a little bit. His dad was a longtime NHL defenseman, Craig Wolanin, but he hasn't played yet. Jacob Bryson was brought in for the minor leagues and has played really well. So, it's really cool to see this team play this well. But as a Buffalo Sabres fan, it's you're like, all right, when are the wheels going to fall off? But if they continue to play like this, I could watch 82 games of this kind of effort, even if it doesn't result in wins.
Dude, if they continue to play like this, I can watch 82 games. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to
Yeah.
watch somebody in a Sabres jersey score and, make a save and act like they're in the NHL. It's crazy. I love it.
Well, speaking of scoring, last game the Sabres beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-2. The game-winning goal was scored by Jeff Skinner, and I'm wearing a Jeff Skinner jersey to honor the moment. But so this year, the Buffalo Sabres have allowed all of their players to pick their goal song. Washington did this last year, and it's kind of catching on across the league. Instead of having just the one standard goal song that oh hey song that they have in New York, or the
Dolly
Chelsea Dagger.
Dagger.
Yeah, Chelsea Dagger in Chicago.
Is it Chelsea or
Um,
Dolly?
it's Chelsea Dagger.
Chelsea. I know it's the Fratellis. I always
Yeah,
forget.
yeah. But uh, Jeff Skinner's goal song. I saw it when I saw him. Because they released a list of it, and there's a Spotify playlist of all these songs. Jeff Skinner's is "Party in the USA" by Miley Cyrus.
Which
Honestly, it works.
it's
When
the
you hear
most
the
Jeff
goal song,
Skinner thing. If you've seen him off ice, his personality off ice,
oh yeah,
like to tell me that guy loves Miley Cyrus. What? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But it works as a goal song, man. It's and especially it was cool that he scored. Buffalo being right below the Greater Toronto area, so they're always kind of that kid brother to the to Toronto. So Party in the USA is kind of a little dig, and I kind of dig it. I really like it. So
I can appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah.
So I just actually learned a fun fact from Bally Sports. Kokiniemi is the first player to be signed on an offer sheet since 2007.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird. Trying to remember who the other player was then.
I don't know who it was in 07. I just saw that on the ticker, and I was like, okay.
Because I know Vanek got offered in 2007. That summer, that was when Buffalo lost Danny Briere and Chris Drury in the same day on my birthday, which was awful. And that same day, Edmonton threw an offer sheet at Thomas Vanek. Now I love Vanek. Vanek is one of my favorite players in that era of the Sabres, but I would have taken that because that would have been 4 first-round picks.
Yeah. Also, for anybody that doesn't know, tonight is Kokiniemi's first night back in Montreal since signing with Carolina. I would say that this is probably going to be a pretty good game. I'm excited to see Aho come out there and flip everybody off, and then Kokiniemi come out right behind him, just kind of under his shoulder a little bit, peeking out. He said he's excited to be back, man. He was from his interview, he was happy to get out of Montreal. Like
look at what's going on in Montreal. Look at what's going on in Montreal since. I mean, you're talking about. So this week, Marc Bergevin, the GM, said in a perfect world he'd get an extension from the Canadiens, but in a perfect world he wouldn't be 0-4 trying to ask for an extension from the Canadiens.
Right. Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to, man.
The team is just falling apart. I mean, it's not like it's not like they lost 4 one-goal games. I mean, they got run out of the building in Buffalo. They got they're just San Jose whipped up on them. I mean, it's just not good.
The funny part about Buffalo is, though, like they were the laughingstock of the NHL for a week, and then Buffalo went on this little run, and everybody's like, okay, well, Montreal still sucks, but maybe not because of that game, which is kind of entertaining,
But they followed it up with like a 5-1 loss to San Jose.
Yeah, no, I mean, they look awful. Everything about them looks awful.
Yeah.
There's no goal scoring. Their defensemen are just letting breakaway through breakaway in. I'm not even sure that they have anybody in net. They need to call David Ayers. It's just –
I mean –
it's rough right now in Montreal.
I don't think Jesus could save anything in Montreal.
It's weird to see an original 6 team go down the toilet so hard so fast. There's just some kind of stigma to being an original 6 that you don't expect. It's a hockey town, I would say that their merch sales are, if you go from the start of the league to now, probably between them, Toronto, and Detroit, probably the top 3. It's just maybe like I don't think the Rangers as much because New York is so uppity. Gretzky days is really the only time the Rangers would have sold anything.
Yeah, I mean they've got
in '94 with Messi.
Yeah, they've got some, they got the NHL flagship store there, so.
Yeah, but that's just Canadian tourists that want a puck from there. Like it's, you can come down from Ottawa or you come down from Laval, Montreal, that area. And
well, Montreal's had a couple down seasons over the last few years, and I think it's the thing with Montreal, with any of the Toronto had its doldrums for a long time.
They're 64 years deep and no cup, right? Or 68 now?
No, it's that was 68 was last cup. So there are 50
enough.
53?
50 enough years. Yeah.
53 years now.
Montreal's been on a streak 6 times, a 2-cup streak at least.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's hard to keep a Canadian team down. Although, I know we talked about this earlier about economics. It might come to a situation where it's just economically unviable to have a top flight team in Canada.
And I'm sure it's cripplingly demoralizing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. If anything,
you can imagine the economic troubles with inflation in America.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you take that and add it to a top tier athlete that's making way too much money for the government to be happy with, plus all the COVID restrictions, plus this, plus that. You're not allowed to leave your house. Like, it would be tough to live in Montreal as a normal person, but let alone somebody that has all the money in the world and nowhere to spend it.
Well, that and I think nothing will get the Canadian government to lower their taxes than having all of the Canadian teams suffering because they can't attract top talent. Um, whether it happens, I don't know, but I think
Yeah, I mean,
there will be a good push.
well, they're to the point right now in America. If you said, "Yeah, we're going to have to shut down the NFL for a year or two because we can't afford to keep it open," you imagine or even worse, college football.
I mean, honestly, I think what would happen is you would see kind of like what happened last year. Um, you'd have a Canadian division that just doesn't compete for the Stanley Cup, or they hold their own tournament.
Yeah.
I don't think they would shut down for a year because they couldn't compete with American teams. They would just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, Canadian League.
Yeah. I
Which,
mean, I
that's like
think
the original six,
that last year gave them that taste that I think a lot of fans in Canada liked was, Battle of Edmonton for 8 games a season rather than 4. So I mean, I don't know. We could see something happen as far as economics goes, but
And it would not be the first time in history that you have 6 professional teams play each other 8 times a year.
oh no, I mean,
Because that's how we got here.
yeah,
Like, that's
original 6.
literally the history of the league is the same teams play each other 8 times a year. So, hey,
Well,
man, I mean, it's definitely not unheard of.
my idea was that now that we've got 32 teams, you could have 4 or 8 divisions of 4 teams, and those 4 teams play each other like they would have the balance of the schedule to play against each other, and then you do a home and home with all the other teams in the league, and that's how you create those little regional rivalries.
Right, yeah.
To beat the hell out of each other, and you know instead of the way that they're doing the playoffs now, that first round is going to be the 2 teams that emerge from that little 4-team pod. I think that's how you should do it with hockey, to build that excitement and kind of that rivalry that is kind of. Oh wow, goal already in the Washington game against New Jersey.
I was going to ask what you were watching tonight.
Yeah, the Caps in New Jersey are playing.
Ovechkin for 2 tonight.
Oh, Mantha scored.
Calling that one now. Ovechkin for 2.
Hey, man. Ovechkin's always good for a deuce.
Just almost had one in the Carolina-Montreal game, which, of course, I have on. I didn't see who got it, but Tony DeAngelo, no surprise, is now in the penalty box for some reason.
That was one of the more interesting. Yeah, not
That
quite
was
the most controversial.
pickup.
That's not the most controversial pickup of the summer. I mean, that was the guy.
It's the second, Logan
Malu. Yeah,
yeah. So you have the first most controversial playing against the second most controversial right now.
Well, Malu isn't playing, so he's
as far
still
as
in Sweden, I think.
Team pickup and just general nonsense.
Speaking of the Devils, so let's go into some news. Jack Hughes was injured Tuesday night against the Seattle Kraken. He went into the boards, was kind of lifted up. He went in kind of like almost horizontal to the ice, and he was kind of lifted up when he was hit by the defenseman, and he landed on his shoulder, and he's got a little bit of a separation. Nothing that's going to require surgery, but he's going to be out for a couple weeks.
Great fight followed that one too.
Yeah, and that's there was an article in the Athletic that said the Hughes injury shows that the Devils really need to learn how to protect their young stars, which is true. I mean, you can't have Jack Hughes getting run, but really, I mean, to me that injury was kind of more on Hughes and how he went into the boards than anything egregious by the Seattle Kraken player.
Yeah, and I was looking for who it is for the Kraken, man. There's one guy that's impressed me this year. I'll have to find it. I think it might actually be Bastian. Has more
Oh yeah.
penalty minutes than time on ice. That is Tiger Williams all over again. The Kraken love to fight,
Wow.
man.
That's
They're
impressive.
cracking skulls. They're in the crack house. This is crazy.
Crackheads, man. Crackheads.
I'm just watching the Kraken because I know that I'm going to see somebody get rocked. I don't care about anything else. They're bringing back old time hockey in a new way.
That's awesome.
It
And
is.
speaking of fights, you actually sent me a message. And you were like, dude, and I was like, what? What's going on? What's going on? And he sent me a link.
I sent him a link. I was like, watch.
It's
All
Superman.
caps. Watch.
Zoom.
Foligno, I want your autograph. I want to meet you. I want a lesson.
Yeah.
Teach me how to do this.
Marcus
Foligno flying Superman punched. And he did connect. He just connected on the side of the helmet.
Yeah. It wasn't that devastating.
And it was a good fight, man. It was a solid fight.
Yeah, I mean the first punch I think kind of threw both of them for a loop. Like they stood back for a second after
Nobody
that.
knew what to do. This guy just jump punched. What do you?
What was that?
And then X and A at the same time.
Yeah, and then they started going at it, and it was a really good fight. So
I was happy with it. I was really happy with that one.
Yeah, kudos to Marcus Foligno for changing it up. I'm
making my day. Thank you.
Interested to see if somebody else repeats that in a fight down the line.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but it's going to happen until somebody connects on a counter punch.
Svechnikov just made a lacrosse goal attempt.
Uh-oh.
It did not succeed, but he's back, baby. We haven't seen enough of Svech the end of last year, so I'm hoping that him and a few other guys start to kind of make their way back up. No, man, I was thinking the other night, I was watching the Kings and I saw Curtis McDermott. And I was talking last season about them picking up Brendan Lemieux, and I was like, they finally have somebody that can fight. I completely forgot that Curtis McDermott was on the Kings. That is probably the best underrated enforcer in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
McDermott has never lost a fight on the ice. He got pushed down in a fight in Minnesota against, I don't remember who, but he's never actually lost a fight. It was kind of a, hey, I'm losing, I'm going to trip you now.
Yeah.
The Kings are stacking up some top shelf punchy boys.
Well, it's a good mix. They've got top flight forward, and let's talk about one LA King who has kind of turned back the clock on his career. Anze Kopitar is tied for the lead in scoring.
And
now he did this last season. He started out smoking hot. So we'll see if he keeps it up. If you're keeping up with Connor McDavid, that's saying something.
Yeah, that's a feat. But if you look at the West, we got a goal for Montreal. Looks like it is Drew in maybe. It's a power play goal.
Ah, okay.
Let's see who it is. Gallagher.
Ah.
Boo.
Those are the only two goals that have been scored early in this game, or this evening. We've got San Jose and Ottawa playing right now, Colorado and Florida. That should be a pretty good.
That should be good. Yeah.
Washington and New Jersey's playing, and the Islanders and Columbus.
And I actually have money on Ovi to score tonight. I called it like 500 over.
All right.
It's good odds. It's happy odds.
Yeah. Make some money. Other injury news, Mike Smith was pulled from the Tuesday's 6-5 win over the Ducks. He's got a lower body injury. So right now the net is Mikko Koskinen. Here, the benefit for the Oilers is that they are in a really weak division. I think they can float with Koskinen for a while. And it seems like the addition of Zach Hyman has fitted nicely on McDavid line. But I mean, honestly, I could skate on and I don't even skate, and I could skate on the McDavid line and probably stack up north of 60 points. Just standing there.
Be gassed at the blue line, just pass it to somebody, and then it goes in.
Yeah. That's got to be like the greatest line to ever find yourself on is to find yourself a winger of Draisaitl and McJesus. So
yeah, Draisaitl, McDavid, or Curry Gretzky. That's kind of the two top lines.
Yeah, I mean,
to be up there with that line, man, that's I guess now these days you would say Oshie and Ovi, but
or McKinnon and Rantanen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Vegas is hurting.
Oh, Carolina is challenging the Montreal goal.
Oh, there we go. But Vegas is hurting. They've lost Captain Mark Stone for a little bit. I don't think that's too long. But Max Pacioretty, I think, is out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
So two-thirds of your top line are out. You're probably going to
start. Goal.
Oh, no goal.
Overturned.
Okay. Oh,
I'll take it.
That's not a good sign for Montreal.
So that's whenever you wish that you bet one for Gallagher to score, and then it already hit the bank before it got overturned. You just go back to root for Carolina. It's a win-win.
There you go. See, COVID's starting to hit teams. The Jets have had a couple players. Mark Scheifele is out. And Blake Wheeler is actually he's stuck in the United States. He was diagnosed. Oh, it's another goal for Washington. 2-0, 10:27 left in the first. And that was scored by Orlov. Right? Anyway. But Wheeler was in the United States when he was diagnosed with COVID, so he can't come back to Canada. Luckily, the Jets will be moving back to play a couple more games in the States here next week, so he'll probably join the team then. And let's see, who else is getting hit? Oh, yeah, the Penguins have been hit with COVID. They lost Jake Gensel the first game of the year. He came back. But now they have lost Tristan Jarry and Jeff Carter. Jeff Carter was leading the team in scoring. So this is, for a team that's done pretty good out of the gate, I think this is concerning for them because, you're already without Crosby. You're already without Malkin.
They were a team that we didn't think was going to do anything to begin with, and then they kind of
they came out of the gate hot.
They
came out of the gate hot. But I watched the highlights of Pittsburgh and Dallas the other night, and Tristan Jarry was in the nets, and he looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And he made several just 10-bell saves, including in overtime. He did get, he did lose in the shootout.
He did, yeah.
But still looked phenomenal. And Pittsburgh's I think 2-0-2 in their 4 games, and so we'll see if they can keep it up with their backup. That's it for the injury front. Another piece of news: Evander Kane. So the NHL cleared Evander Kane of domestic violence charges. Basically, again, just like with the gambling charges, the estranged wife of Evander Kane refused to cooperate with the NHL investigators, so they cleared him of the domestic violence charges. But at the same time, they found him guilty of using a forged COVID card.
Which, if you're going to pick a guy to do it, it's going to be Evander Kane.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't care if you do get vaccinated or don't get vaccinated. But be a man and stand up for yourself and say, I'm not going to get the vaccine. Don't do this. I got a card. I'm going to try it. I got me a fake ID to get me in the bar. No, that's dumb.
Yeah, it's high school.
Yeah. And had he not done that, had he either gotten the vaccine or, made his stand, he actually would be eligible to play at this point because he's been cleared of all of the wrongdoing that he was supposedly did over the summer. So
That he actually probably did. I'm just gonna
yeah,
say
who
that.
knows?
It's a Vander Kane, dude. I don't put
I mean,
anything.
the betting is more plausible. I mean, again, when I saw this story about the domestic violence part, that it
It's
came out that
iffy.
Shane
Yeah,
that the betting allegations were cleared, I thought was a little suspicious. But the COVID passport card was, or not passport, but the vaccine card, the forged vaccine card. That's just bush league. And kudos to the San Jose Sharks. They've kind of put that out, kind of like Buffalo Sabres with the whole Jack Eichel thing. They've put that distraction out, and they've kind of rallied around playing good fundamental hockey and getting some W's on the road. So let's see. We talked about Buffalo. The Eastern Conference looks far better than the Western Conference so far.
by a long shot.
And we'll look at the standings here in a minute. In fact, let me go ahead and start sharing that. All right. Okay, so here we go with the NHL standings. Again, we're early in the season, so the most a team has played is 5 games, and that's Seattle, and the least is 2 games, and that was Boston playing their second game last night. Not sure what is up with the schedule on that. Why Boston's only getting a couple of games here early in the season, but if I'm a team, I'd rather have the off time later in the season than at the beginning of the season. You're fresh at the beginning of the
Yeah,
season.
absolutely.
You're ready to go. You don't want to have a week off to get rusty again. You want to keep playing.
Especially because Boston didn't have a very deep playoff run.
Yep.
At all.
And remember, I mean, this season we've got the Olympics coming up, so the season is going to get compressed, and you got to figure that some of those Bruins are going to end up on certain Olympic teams. So we'll see how that plays out for the Bruins as we get later in the season when their schedule really compacts up. So in the Eastern Conference, we got Pittsburgh. Said they were 2-0-2. They're leading the division with 8 points. It's really early. Again, we see how the Eastern Conference teams are. You don't have a whole lot of losses here in the Metropolitan Division, except for the Islanders, which is kind of surprising. They started out pretty. They're on the struggle bus the first couple of games, and righted the ship the other night. 2 nights ago against the Blackhawks. But do you have any hot teams or players out of this group?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see Panarin make his big comeback.
Yeah.
That's something that I've been looking forward to. I'm a big Panarin fan myself. I was happy to see him show back up and remind us that he's in the league after last year's injury. He was out for the majority of the season. Just really Pittsburgh for hanging on, man. Against all odds right now. This is a facing the Giants moment. They're making their way up against teams that are substantially better than them on paper, and they're doing it. So,
yeah, I mean, again, Pittsburgh is this team that they've got talent, and if they can hold on until Crosby gets back, then at least tread water until Crosby gets back, then things are going to get better for them. Again, it's a team that really needs to have that conversation about what does the future look like.
They're a lot deeper than I thought.
They are. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a situation where you've got kids that have been stewing in the minors that are way past ready to contribute, and that could be a good thing for Pittsburgh. But I almost get the sense with Pittsburgh is that they're kind of in the last dance phase right now. They can make a run for the playoffs, but I look at all these teams in the Metropolitan Division. I just don't know how they hold on the entire season, especially without Malkin, Crosby being older, Malkin being older, Letang being older.
And Letang right now looks, I watched that first Pittsburgh game, and if I've only watched one Pittsburgh game. I've just been checking scores, but if he looks as good in the rest of these games as he did in that first one, this is 16-17 Pittsburgh Letang.
And you got to hope that stays. I mean, again, an older player, he may come out the gate playing really well, but as the year goes on, he breaks down, and especially as that schedule packs up heading toward the Olympics. You might see them kind of dwindle as you get towards the Olympics, and then maybe not have as many players making the Olympic team, so they're able to rest while the rest of the league donates players to the Olympics and come back and have a stronger second half. My hot player in this division is you got to go with Ovi, man. 4 goals in 3 games.
Yeah, he's Brett Hull can feel him breathing down his neck right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still think he's got an outside shot at Gretzky. I mean, it's going to take him playing 4 or 5 years and being healthy, but the guy's an ox.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Russian machine never breaks. Ovi's probably the only guy over 40 in this league that I'm not worried about getting injured.
And he's not even – I don't think he's even close to being 40. He just looks it.
Oh, I thought that he was like 41.
No. I mean, he looks it, but let's see. I can look it up.
I'm already there. He's 36.
Yeah, he's not close to 40. I mean, he can play to like 42. I mean, can you imagine?
How does he look like? I was convinced that Ovi was at least 40.
It's the gray hair. I mean, he's been
in his face, man. He looks old.
That's Russian for you, man. It's the vodka. But yeah, I mean, that's he puts in a career like Chelios. I mean, this guy he could close in on 1,000 goals.
And I could see that being his end game.
It could be. I mean,
he's going to be the first guy ever to score 1,000 goals.
He loves to play, and I mean, I think that if he gets he gets to Gretzky's record and wins another Stanley Cup between here and there, then you're going to see him probably hang up the skates. But
so here's a big question: if Ovi makes Gretzky's record, does the league retire number 8?
Ooh. I mean, I think
I don't think they can.
I don't think they can because the thing with Gretzky is he's got so many other. I mean, he has the single season record that I don't think that one's going to be the hardest one to break. 92 goals and 82.
It's not going to happen. It's just
not without serious rule changes to goaltending.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
If Ovi was shooting against goalies back then, he'd already broke this record in a year.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, man. I know Washington for a fact's going to retire it, but if he just hung him up today, then it'd already be done.
Oh yeah.
There's other numbers that I would have thought would have been retired that aren't. So, Bobby Orr, greatest defenseman ever, without a doubt. There's still number 4 skating around. Number 9.
I'm surprised they didn't do it with Mr. Hockey. I mean, you can't. If you were going to retire another number, it would be Howe. Or is a good case. I don't think you do it with Ovechkin because Ovechkin, he's going to have he could have the goals, but he's not going to be anywhere near the assists.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or anywhere near the total points.
But are the goals enough? That's a real question here.
No.
Are goals going to be enough to retire a number on?
Not league wide. That,
Because
I mean,
I
that
think the
is,
only two numbers that are actually retired are 99 and 66, right?
did they even retire 66?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think they did. I think it was just 99.
It might have just been Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Pittsburgh retired it. I mean, he's the owner after all. Shit.
Right.
Can you imagine asking, "Hey Mario, can I wear your number?" You're like, "Fuck you."
Well, whenever he retired in Kotkaniemi just got a shot stopped, and everybody exhaled at the same time in Montreal.
Nice.
Yeah, Penguins fans thought the NHL should retire number 66 the same way they retired Gretzky's, but they did not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I think it's just Gretzky, which
And actually, Joshua Hosang wears number 66.
there you go.
So
Did he stick around in Toronto?
I think so.
Yeah, all right.
I think he's still there. I kind of forget he exists.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a. I mean, there
With
was
the
always
Islanders, yeah, he was a presence, but after that, he just.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was always kind of bouncing around, and there was always the rumors about him having, uh, uh, private issues and stuff like that. Um, personal problems and stuff that really kept him from developing with the Islanders. Um, so he's getting his second chance with the Maple Leafs and see if he sticks. I just think that it's probably a little too late for him to kind of get anywhere near what his potential was when he came out of the draft.
Unless he goes to Minnesota, then they will pay top dollar.
Well, no, they'll pay top dollar, but they won't get the top dollar. All right, let's talk about the Atlantic. The Atlantic. Look
I
at
feel
this.
like whenever Minnesota signs somebody, they're like dollars, like, yeah, man, we have that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, so the Atlantic, Florida and Buffalo are tied at the top. Look at this. I mean, it's almost like a Meekism. The Meek have inherited the NHL Earth. You've got Buffalo and Detroit, second and third. This is really dumb to do this early in the season, but the playoffs started today. Buffalo and Detroit would be playing in the first round.
I would love to see it.
I hate watching Detroit hockey.
I would love to watch this Detroit hockey.
I haven't really had a chance to watch much of their many of their games, but they're out of the gate pretty good, man. Of course, my Buffalo Sabres 3-0, looking damn good. I mean, look at that plus 8, 12 goals to 4.
Take a screenshot, bud.
I have been like
print it out and hang it on your wall.
Every time they win a game, I'm like, screenshot, high watermark, screenshot. Yeah. Just to, in case the wheels on the bus go, fall off, I can, got something to keep warm over the winter.
You're going to be 90 if a circle of kids around you going, no, look, I have proof. Look.
They were once first. Toronto is Toronto. Did you happen to watch the Toronto versus Rangers overtime?
I did not. I caught a few minutes of it, but I think I fell asleep.
Man, that was back. That's I've watched a couple overtime games, and they've really gotten to a point where it's somebody will take it back and they'll skate it around, and it's like figure skating for like the entire 5 minutes with a couple of brief flourishes of action, but it's really a lot of skating. This one was up and down the ice, chance after chance. And then Panarin got a nice snipe off the face-off in the last minute of the overtime to win that game. But that's how
he's a breadwinner.
That's how overtime hockey should be: up and down the ice, chance after chance, rather than the swirly skate all the way back into your zone and drop the puck off, and then skate some more. Those are just awful overtimes to watch.
Yeah, because it's basically just who can hold out long enough to get a shootout. The only overtime that I've actually got to watch this year so far was Edmonton Calgary. Because anytime that the Battle of Berter goes down, I have to watch, man. I can't take my eyes off of it. I'll cancel plans to watch Battle Alberta. I don't care.
Yeah.
Um,
So here's my idea to reinvigorate the overtime.
T-shirt
Overtime?
cannons, but the fans
No.
have them.
Oh, that would be interesting. No. Shootouts. Winner gets 2 points. Loser gets nothing.
Okay.
That way, if you're holding out for a shootout, then there's a chance you get nothing out of the game.
Yeah.
If you lose in overtime, you get the point. You know.
But Dave, that's so much pressure on the goalies. Kokiniemi with another big one.
I heard that.
Still not in, but he's
Still
close.
nothing.
He's on the Aho line too.
Still 2-0. Looks like Ottawa is leading San Jose. Florida is leading Colorado. You see the 2-0 Washington advantage, and Calgary's in Detroit. We'll get to Calgary here in a minute. That's a team that I'm. I know you want to watch the Battle of Alberta, but the rest of the season, I don't know if you want to watch that.
Tkachuk actually is making his debut tonight.
Oh yeah, Brady Tkachuk playing for the Ottawa Senators, fresh off his big fat contract, highest paid player on the team now. Of course, the cold or not hot team in the Atlantic Division is Montreal. We talked about them earlier. 0-4, and just not looked like they've been in any games. And maybe tonight's a little bit better for them, but they're going to struggle.
Yeah,
you don't have your top defenseman, you don't have your top goaltender, and that entire team is in a state of flux. Cole Caulfield has not been as good this season as he was to start his career last season. So
neither Suzuki.
Yeah, and Suzuki just got that.
Really, nobody's been good. That's
true.
Pick a player on Montreal, they suck. As of
right now, they're 4 games, 5 goal, or I'm sorry, 4 games, 3 goals. So they're not even a goal game pace here. That's just not good.
And that's why you should have taken Carolina tonight on the puck line, because this kind of can only go one way.
Yeah, Carolina. I mean, you're like, oh, Carolina's 5th in their conference, or their division. Yeah, but they've played 2 games and won both of them.
Yep.
And it's just that early in the season. That's why it looks skewed like that.
And against a team that is notably not scoring goals, it kind of makes the lack of goaltending in Carolina sting a little less, because even whenever these guys get a chance, they're still putting it in the net. So just the wrong one, the one over the ice, not the one on the ice.
Exactly. So let's go to the Western Conference, Central Division. Man, what is up with the St. Louis Blues?
The Blues, they're what's up. Number 1, baby.
They're making me look bad because I was, talking about how Bennington's going to struggle, and
now talking about how he's coming back.
Yeah, he's playing well, but it's really the kids, man. Jordan Kyrou is tied for second. There's a bunch of people tied at 8 points for scoring in the league, and he's at 7. This is kind of the player that they were thinking they were getting when they drafted him a few years ago. So he's starting to come into his own. The young kids are picking it up for St. Louis, despite all the tumult and controversies over the offseason. The fact that Vladimir Tarasenko did not get dealt, and he's actually playing. He's got a goal and an assist in the 3 games, but they handled, albeit a depleted Vegas last night, 3-1. But they roasted your Coyotes.
7-2? Yeah. No,
5.
We came
5
back
goals.
a little bit.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It was 7-5, I think.
7-5.
But it was,
yeah. Because it was like, we're coming, game's over, but we're never mind.
But I mean, it was 5 goals in about 5 minutes in the second period that did the Coyotes in.
Also, something that we didn't expect at all. Number 2 Minnesota Wild. I knew that Kaprizov was going to do something. He's on 5 assists for the year. That's already pretty freaking good, especially in this division. This is not one that I expected him to perform as well in, because there's Minnesota's had a few in-house or in division games, but also the guy right now is Eriksson Ek. He's got 3 goals on the season.
Well, it was a hat trick in one game, but I mean that was the game they played against. Was it the Ducks where they came back?
Yeah, and he's a goal a game. I understand that it's a hattie, but it's a goal a game. Like, if he can keep pace halfway, if he can score 41 goals this year, and then whatever assists you sprinkle in there, he's probably going to beat a point per game.
Well, and the fact that that's what you want out of a guy that you just backed up the truck for. So, both him and Kaprizov, they can break off a season like you expect for a multi-million-dollar player, then that's going to only benefit Minnesota. And again, they're benefiting from being in a division that's, hey, at least I'm not going to dog on Arizona too much this week, because the weak team in this division is Chicago. Man, they look like dog shit.
Yeah, and also something else from number 3, Dallas, that I didn't see coming. Right now, their top scorer is Faxa.
Radek Faxa, yeah.
Yeah. Haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah.
He's topping goals and he's topping points. He's only got 1 goal, but he's got 3 assists, and coming from a team that's also not scoring points. That's pretty happy numbers for one guy that's on a low contract that hasn't had a good season in 2 or 3. So,
yeah, and Holtby's played pretty decent. I mean, he got the win in Pittsburgh the other night when Jari was standing on his head. He was winning the first game. They won the first game and won their last game. He was winning the first game, but went out on dehydration issues, and came back and played the game against Pittsburgh and won that game. But he's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, compared to his performance in Vancouver,
Ooh.
They got a serious value with Holtby.
Yeah.
If he, somewhat keeps pace. I mean, I understand he's a goalie. He's going to have off nights. He's going to do weird stuff. He's a goalie. Hey, man, if he can keep this up, then good for him.
Well, what it does for Dallas is that it gives them options that, let's say Hudobin, or let's say they're kind of floating around that mid range and get close to that trade deadline. Then you could deal a guy like Hudobin to another team for a part that you need for your, whether it's offense or defense that you've got to kind of get over the top, because you got Jake Ottinger, who's back in the minors, and who has tons of NHL experience and didn't play bad for the Dallas Stars.
He just didn't play on par with the time that he was called up for.
Yeah. I mean, he played well. It was the fact that Dallas couldn't win a game in overtime last year, which is what did them in.
Yeah.
The amount of points they left on the table in overtime was just, they had double-digit overtime losses. That's what did them in. So Dallas should bounce back in this division, just because they're Colorado. You can see Colorado, St. Louis, Minnesota as sticking. I'm still not completely sold on St. Louis, but
I mean, they're doing it though.
I mean, Winnipeg has looked rough to begin with.
Winnipeg looks terrible, and Colorado, of all teams in the league, to be sitting where they are.
I'm not too worried about Colorado.
I wonder what's going on, man, because this is not Colorado hockey.
Well, again, it's you see the goals against. There are 13 goals against in 3 games. I mean, that's the danger when you kind of rely on kind of spare parts on.
Say it.
Goal.
Come on.
Yeah. Darcy Kemper. Well, let's just say that Seattle hasn't done all that much better with Grubauer. Grubauer's looked like hot garbage too. So
It's a special time and a special place, and they blew it. So maybe they can
yeah.
rebuild.
Maybe. Well, I doubt that Dallas would trade Khudobin to Colorado, but
I don't think they would.
and the only other goalie that has some kind of NHL pedigree that might be on the market would be Sergei Bobrovsky.
And that is
They couldn't fit that under the cap, so it'll be interesting to see what Colorado does.
Playoff Bob is like this weird landmine that like malfunctions. Sometimes he goes off and sometimes he doesn't. And whenever he doesn't, it's fine. But whenever he does, it's a giant mess.
Well, yeah.
Um,
But I'm actually more concerned about Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg. He has not looked good.
He did this last year.
Yeah.
He did this last year, and then he came back to be a Vezina candidate. So,
well, I mean, look at Chicago. Chicago, I mean, how many people were hyping Chicago at the start of the season?
I was.
You've got Seth Jones, you got Marc-Andre Fleury, and I'm always leery of teams that just do this whole massive revamp.
But yeah, because the last time that we saw this was with the Jersey Dream Team.
Yeah.
Or even last year for playoffs, Toronto picked up every big name that was available in the league and then, woke up in a wet bed. It's just
early tea times.
Yeah, dude, you're definitely right. It's never really been a beneficial thing to rebuild a team off of made names.
Yeah, kind of
that big of a
gather this all-star team together.
There's no pecking order. There's no rhyme, no reason. And, it actually, Eddie Olczyk said it a few times. You can take any all-star team and put them up against a mid-level team that plays together regularly, and the mid-level team will beat them every time. So,
yeah. It's all chemistry and all, familiarity. I mean, that's
and there's a lack of pecking order. I think that hurts a lot because everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Nobody grew together. It's just, hey, I'm a big name. You're a big name. You do your thing. I'll do my thing. And the next thing you know, there's, two defensemen standing in the offensive zone and a puck in the back of the net. So,
sure,
it's always weird. Arizona sucks. I'm about to just throw this hat away.
Arizona's going to wear it a
shoulder
lot.
pads laser removed.
I mean, Arizona's going to wear it a lot this season. But, for Arizona, it's all about the draft. Tanking to get, what is it, McMichael.
Give us 2 years and we'll be worth watching. But, I've had people this year more than ever. I have people, hey, I want to watch hockey. Get me into hockey. I'm like, okay, yeah, pick a team. Like, well, who do you like? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. You don't. I want you to enjoy this experience. Don't hurt yourself. It's like, hey, I want to play basketball. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to have a hernia first. Just.
It's going to be rough, but as long as they don't manage the rebuild like Buffalo did with Tim Murray as the GM, he got impatient and tried to shortcut the rebuild, and
we're just leaning into it.
Yeah, Arizona has picked up all of these draft picks and use them on prospects. Don't try and accelerate the rebuild by bringing in. We had a first round draft pick, and granted, we got Robin Leonard out of the deal, but this is pre cleaning himself up Robin Leonard that we got.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work when you try and accelerate the rebuild like that. So we'll see. Arizona's going to suffer for a little bit,
and we knew it. If you're an Arizona fan and you didn't know this was coming, you just like the logo.
Yeah, Arizona's got to feel bad, but you're ahead of Chicago, man. Just enjoy this.
Barely. No, really. We just played less games,
Like I said, take a picture.
Thanks, Dave.
Take a picture and say we
Yeah.
weren't dead last.
Well, yeah, because it's coming. It's going to creep up on us.
Yeah,
Chicago's become the
Chicago,
place for players to go to die too. I hate that for Chicago, but they've been doing it since the 70s, man. And in 78, whenever War went there,
yeah,
you know,
but yeah, Chicago had their run in the last decade. I'm not going to feel sorry for them, especially now that they did what they did. Now they could accelerate a rebuild if they wanted to by dealing off some of these names like Kane, and it'd be hard to flip Jones because you just sign him to an 8-year contract. But you got
Kane's the
some
only thing
solid.
they have.
Yeah, I mean, it really will be hard to move anything. You got Doc, you got you could deal off Fleury, but
I don't think you could. I think that Fleury is kind of understood to be a legend in his own right, and that is the end of the legend of Marc-Andre Fleury. It's just
well, I think if you come to him at the end of the season and say, hey, of course it's not working out here, but let's say you could. I mean, Chicago could deal Marc-Andre Fleury to Colorado because they know that Fleury's probably going to not play next season. He's probably
right.
going to.
He
So
should
you
have retired this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably wishing he retired.
Well, and you've got two of the greatest of a decade, and they went separate routes, and one of them went down a legend, Henrik Lundqvist.
Yep.
Because he decided to opt out of a maybe. And then Fleury decided to pick up a contract, and now he's getting egg on his face for it. But, I don't blame him directly for crashing the ambulance in Chicago.
No,
it really has been a team effort.
That defense is hot garbage.
What defense?
Yeah, it's just been awful to watch. And I've watched quite a bit of their games, and it's just, what are y'all doing?
They're not. That's the problem. They're not doing.
It actually reminds me of Buffalo last year. Like, missed assignments, lazy play, bad passes out of the zone, bad turnovers. They just look tentative. And, you've got to expect, let's say we get to 10 games and they haven't won a game yet. You got to think that Jerry McColton's gone.
Oh,
they're not going to wait till
I think that's already done.
Yeah, I think he's, the seat is actually burned down at this point. It's not getting hotter.
I would say the only thing keeping him there right now is the fact that they haven't found a replacement yet. But they're getting ready to start calling high schools in the area and see if somebody's willing to commute. So
they could bring in Babcock. They could bring in Tortorello. Oh my goodness!
No comment.
All right, let's drop into the Pacific. Edmonton, man.
Wow.
McDavid,
8 points, 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's already stacking multi-point efforts every game, and
also, Draisaitl, 8 points, 3 games.
Yeah, because he's getting either Draisaitl's scoring the goal or he's getting the assist, and same thing with McDavid. He's either getting the goal or getting the assist. They're just going to feed off each other.
That's 16 points out of 2 guys in 3 games.
Yeah.
That's like a third line center's season in 3 games.
When 8 of 14 goals. It's actually a little bit more distribution of goals than I would have thought. I know Zach Cassian scored a couple goals this season already.
Which he's a monster. I love Cassian.
Yeah, Cassian's just a meathead. I love Cassian.
Him and Lucic,
Lucic.
Yeah, they're both saying his name. It's like Derry trying to say biscuit. No, man, they hate each other, and I love it. I live for it. Yeah, if I'm having a bad day, I just look for when the next Battle of Alberta is going to take place, and then I have something to look forward to.
There you go. Sadly, it's not going to happen as much this season since we're in 8-team divisions and everyone's playing each other this year. But
yeah, and that's another thing, dude. I was upset about the North going away because I like fight hockey. That's fight hockey. That's what that was. It was solid. There were guys that I've never heard of from Ottawa fighting guys from Toronto, and then Montreal and Toronto, and Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton. And Edmonton was just trying to beat up on everybody except for Vancouver for some reason. I think they felt bad. I miss it. I miss it already.
Yeah. San Jose, impressive, 2-0. They've put away the distractions. Even Anaheim, again, this is kind of like the meek inheriting the NHL. San Jose and Anaheim, I predicted them to finish dead last in the division. They started out okay. Now, Anaheim always comes with a caveat that game one, John Gibson is playing. He gets injured, but he is already back. But that guy's so fragile. It's amazing how fragile John Gibson is, he's 2-0 on the season, but their backup Anthony Stolarz, who they're going to have to depend on because we know John Gibson is so fragile, is 0-2 and does not look good. So he's the one that allowed the comeback for Edmonton the other night. I think Anaheim was up 5-3, and Edmonton stormed back and won 6-5. Yeah. Seattle looked good, and then they didn't.
Seattle looked good in the first game, in the first period.
First couple games. I mean, they look good.
They're doing this weird thing though, where they fizzle out by the third period.
Yeah, that's the
every game
with Seattle. Seattle has really kind of they played well they didn't play well in the first period of the first game because they were down 3-0. But
they came back.
Here they came back all the way back. The second game, of course, they beat the Preds. Third game was an overtime loss, I think, to Columbus, and then they just got boat raced by Philadelphia. And you got to expect that as a expansion franchise that every once in a while you're just going to get mixed,
railroaded.
Yeah, and then they lost to New Jersey 4-2.
Yeah, that's another team that's really surprised me this year is Columbus. Columbus with goals.
Yeah, Columbus
has never really been known for goal scoring in that sense, and this season it's been hot and heavy. I mean, they haven't really played a goaltender yet, so it probably helps. But
yeah, well, that does help. But Seattle did get through their first 5-game road trip, and Saturday night they open.
They're going home.
Climate Pledge Arena.
You mean the Amazon Center? They have a warehouse in the bottom.
Yeah, a little sweatshop somewhere in there. But hey, it's green technology, man.
Jeff Bezos probably can't even make it. He's too busy playing for Rockets. It's like, hey, tell me how the hockey game goes or whatever it is that they're doing tonight.
Yeah. You guys suck. We're going to start launching rockets from the arena.
Even his laugh sounds like a rich dude. Have you heard Jeff Bezos laugh?
Yes. But, congrats to the Seattle Kraken. And speaking of new arenas, the reason why the Islanders have been kind of struggling out of the gate is they're on a 9-game road trip to begin the season. And I say road trip, I'm going to put the quotation marks there because, again, as a New York, New Jersey team, they're going to have games against the Islanders and the Rangers, or I'm sorry, the Devils and the Rangers, which means they're, that's not really a road trip. You're going to sleep in your bed that night.
Right.
But still, it's hard to, front load a season quite like that with 9 games on the road. And then coming back to open up, their new arena. I think they're going to do really well in that new arena.
I wish they'd have kept the Coliseum, though. There's so much history in that building.
There is, but, I mean, another couple of years, and that would be like the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, where the A's play, just seeping into the locker rooms. And
speaking of, that's like whenever Florida came in. Do you know the story of the rat? Do you know where the rat
Yeah.
came from? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Scott
like
Niedermeyer. Or not, Rob Niedermeyer.
Rob Niedermeyer,
Yeah.
Arizona is reportedly definitely talking to the city of Houston.
Ooh, all right.
All right, Dave. This is my last chance to see an Arizona home game. Like, we're in the final stretch of.
Yeah, you might want to get out to Phoenix soon, man.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to hit Scottsdale because, that's the worst part about it too. Like the absolute rock bottom thing for me. If I went out, I would drive. I got a buddy in Dallas. I would stop, see him, and then head from Dallas to Phoenix. And the hardest part of going to see an Arizona home game right now is to know that I have to watch the team lose at my one and only Arizona home game.
Yeah.
There's not really a way around it. It's just I'm going to go so I can watch my hockey team lose again. I'm going to drive 2,000 miles each way to watch a hockey team lose.
Yeah, but you get to see them in their home barn. I mean, I still haven't gone up to Buffalo to see a game yet. I need. I mean, that's only like what 6-7 hours away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do need to get up there, and the nice thing is that this season is going to go later into April, so I don't have to worry about lake effect snows probably. So I might catch a game towards the end of the season, and if it goes as people predicted, getting a ticket into the into KeyBank Center will be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Although it's been pretty easy the first few games of the season. Have you seen the crowds there?
Well, Arizona has tickets on sale for $65 a piece. $65 to watch that?
Ooh.
Yeah, they're advertising like new ticket deals starting at $65, and it's a single game.
Is that a season ticket? Like
exactly? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's if I'm paying $65 to see Arizona play, it better be like free food and drink and an after party, and also like they park my car for me, like
and trip to the strip club and casino and
in a movie theater where they show a game we won.
Showed the time that you guys got to the Western Conference Finals.
And they got cheated out of it. That was BS.
Yeah.
Just because I liked Arizona.
Yeah.
Stupid Nashville.
So let's take a look at the scores. We got Ottawa still leading San Jose at the start of the second. Most of the games are in the second now. Colorado and Florida are tied at 1. Carolina is up 1-0 on Montreal. Washington is still up 2-0 on New Jersey. Columbus and the Islanders are scoreless. And Calgary has jumped up on Detroit 2-0. And looks like the Rangers and the Preds are underway.
The goal in Carolina that I completely missed because I was probably ranting about something. You know what? Actually, there was a little bit of lag between my TV and that, so I did just catch the Carolina goal, and it's going to be Sebastian Aho.
Nice. All right.
And Tony DeAngelo got an assist.
So, but if the Coyotes move to Houston, at least it'll be a much shorter drive for you to go see a game.
Yeah, I mean, that would cut out about 15 hours.
Yeah.
I can drive to Houston in a day. I've driven to Dallas in a day.
Yeah.
Like I've woken up in my bed in West Virginia at like 1 a.m. and knuckled down and took the long road across Texarkana to Dallas. And then whenever I got to Dallas, I actually went and watched a minor league hockey game before I went to my hotel. So I drove 22 straight hours.
Ooh.
And then went to a hockey game and then went to a hotel.
That's tough, man. I mean, Dallas will take it out of you, or Texas will take it out of you when you're driving. Tennessee will take it out of you too.
Well, and that's the worst part because whenever I went
take 40.
Yeah, I took 40, and then I was like, oh, I'm finally off this like 300-mile straight stretch, and then I get to Texarkana, and I look down at my GPS, and it's like 386 miles.
Yeah, it's tough.
No turns for 386 miles. Just Texarkana, and you drive through Texas, and you go to
Yep.
the middle.
Yep. It's tough to do a road trip like that. I mean, I drove out to Albuquerque one time, and it was, I mean, I drove 17 straight hours from Duluth, Georgia, to Shamrock, Texas, which is in the Panhandle. And I could have made it to Albuquerque if I wanted to stay on 20 hours. The only reason I didn't do it was I didn't have my hotel until the next day in Albuquerque, and the roads in Oklahoma beat the hell out of me, man.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Oh God, I-40 in Oklahoma, those will shake a kidney stone out of you. I will tell you that right now.
Well, it's the same thing on 239 going through Texas. You know, and the roads are awful, so you have to pay attention, but you don't know whenever they're going to get bad. So you're just on this giant straight stretch, and then all of a sudden there's a problem.
Yep.
And in the tractor trailers, everybody's asleep because they drive it all the time. They don't care. So they're not paying attention. You have people going from Arkansas to Texas. They're not paying attention. They do it. It's a roughie.
Yep. But I need to run up the road and go to Buffalo at some point. And chat.
All right, man, I'll go with you.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Maybe we can catch Buffalo, Arizona. That would be a fun game. That actually might be a interesting game.
Well, we just missed that one for the year.
That's right. Well, we'll go to Arizona. I'll take you to Arizona.
So I've seen Buffalo play all over the place on the road. I've seen them in Atlanta and St. Louis and Washington.
I have seen Arizona in St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago, Svechnikov.
Svech.
Nice. Love Svech. Hey, I just got my Svech to score.
Yeah.
It's $40 on 10.
There you go.
And I've got Carolina on the 2.5 puck line, so hopefully we can keep this one rolling. Yeah, I've seen Arizona, Detroit, St. Louis, Chicago, Carolina, Washington, Tampa, Miami, New Jersey, one more, Columbus. Oh, and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, too.
Okay. Now, you've seen a lot of arenas. I haven't seen that many arenas yet, so I need to, since I'm relatively close to Pittsburgh, I mean, only 3 hours from Pittsburgh.
I was in PPG the other night.
I'm going up.
Joe Rogan was in PPG, so I went up.
Oh, cool. I'm going up to Pittsburgh November 6th to see my college alma mater play at Robert Morris University, just northeast of town, or northwest of town. I'll have to see if Pittsburgh's playing that night and maybe catch a game.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But
I think that pretty much finishes us up for the night, though.
I think so, man.
Not a lot more. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much we'll just wait and see what happens. There's going to be a good fight tonight in Montreal. I can about guarantee that. I'm watching these guys.
Rangers are up 1-0 on the Preds.
Ooh, didn't see that coming.
San Jose's tied it up with Ottawa.
Colorado's tied it up with Florida.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And whenever you watch us on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. Yeah, we're on Twitter as well. So we'll talk to everyone next week on the Thursday Night Hockey Show.
Take it easy, guys.
See you guys.